Hi everyone. Welcome back to this series of booklet solutions. Now, in this particular video, we have booklet solutions or video explanations of the following questions, as you can see on the screen. Now, the topics that are covered in this particular video are, you know, ranging from the start of the chapter to the quantum mechanical model or the beginning of the quantum mechanical model. So in the FBO section, you have primarily quantum mechanical model related questions. However, in Get Equipped to Mains and Get Equipped to Advanced, you have questions ranging from various topics. So let's proceed one by one and answer these questions. Now, the starting few questions that are there, they are based on the quantum mechanical model only, right? And the basic formulas that are used in those or the results that are there from the quantum mechanical model. So 60-second question talks about the orbital angular momentum, and we have a simple formula for it. Now, you have been asked for the 4D orbital. So the value of D, so the value of L for D orbital is 2. So just use that value for D orbital. L is equal to 2. Now, 63rd question, simple question based on de Broglie wavelength. I don't think you will have any doubt in this. 64th question is another easy question. For n equal to 3, L cannot be 3. It has to be between 0 to n minus 1, right? So 3f will not exist. Then, as I have spoken about quantum numbers, I told you that the first 3 quantum numbers, like n, L, and ml, they come from the Schrodinger equation. The fourth quantum number is not a solution from the Schrodinger equation. 66th question again uses the same formula of orbital angular momentum. Then 67th question is straightforward. 69th question is, yeah, I can tell that, okay, this is a decent question, but we have discussed this in class as well. Like when we focused about the counting of number of orbitals in a shell, right? So ये n equal to 1 में 1, n equal to 2 में 4, n equal to 3 में, when you do the counting, you have 9 orbitals. So the trend that comes out is that for a given shell n, there are n square orbitals, right? And similarly, for a given subshell L, there will be 2L plus 1 orbitals, right? So if you have 2L plus 1 orbitals for a given shell, then you can get the counting of the total number of electrons in a subshell as 2 times 2L plus 1. Like this is not something that might have been covered yet, but within an orbital, there can be only 2 electrons, a maximum of 2 electrons. We'll talk about it in the upcoming lecture also. So if in a given subshell, you can have 2 times 2L plus 1 electrons, and then the L value goes from 0 to n minus 1. So you substitute those values of L and do the calculation for all the subshells within a shell. All right, then 70th question, it sounds a little tricky to start with, but is a straightforward question. In this, you understand that this part of interference and diffraction, they are wave properties, whereas E is equal to mc square is mass energy equivalence as given by Einstein. It is E is equal to h nu, which relates the particle as well as the wave nature. The particle nature comes in the form of photon, and the wave nature comes in form of frequency or wavelength. Right? And then 71 May, we can't say 100% probability. It is not allowed as per the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So the correct answer will be 90 to 95% probability only. 72nd is a straightforward. 74th is straightforward question. 75 is also straightforward question. These are based on the notes and the definitions of quantum numbers. 76th and 77 are based on the allowed values of quantum numbers. So when you will study the notes and you will read the allowed values, you will understand that for L equal to 1, M can be minus L2 plus L only. Similarly, for N equal to 3, L can be from 0 to N minus 1. So the options which have these are not the correct ones. Then for 78th question, you have to give the relative order of energy of orbitals. So since it is mentioned a multi-electron system, you apply the N plus L rule that we studied in class. The orbital for which N plus L value is lower has lower energy. Then 79th question is based on the diagram of orbitals. So if you remember the visualization of Pz and dx square minus y square orbital, you will find out that their probability or their lobes are along the axis. Okay, so Pz is along the z-axis and dx square minus y square is along the x-axis and y-axis. So the probability of finding electron is distributed along the axis rather than between the axis. All right, then 80th question, again the same N plus L rule has to be applied to do the calculation of the relative order of energy. Then as we discussed some time back, the number of orbitals present for a given subshell is 2L plus 1. For G subshell, L value is 4. So you substitute that over here and get the answer. All right, now let's talk about the questions from the Get Equipped to Main section. As I said, the questions are going to vary from different topics or subtopics. Fifth question is straightforward based on the simple formula. I don't think it will be a challenge for anyone. 16th question is again based on the allowed values of quantum numbers. So for L equal to 2, ML cannot be 3. 25th is again a simple straightforward question based on the formula of the orbital angular momentum. So is 27th, direct formula application, same with 28th, and with the the 39th question. 39th question maybe, it is asking about non-directional. Non-directional means that there is no dependence on angles. Right, so it is S orbital which is spherically symmetrical will have a probability distribution uniform in all angles. All right, then let's talk about Get Equipped to Advanced. Again, single choice correct questions are being discussed here. So the first question, it talks about the series limit of Paschen series. So if you remember, series limit is the last line of a series. So Paschen series ka last line will be from n equal to infinity to n equal to 3. You substitute in the formula of either the Rydberg constant or you can use the delta E wala formula equal to hc by lambda, which can be written as 12400 by lambda in angstrom if the delta E is in electron volts. You will get the correct answer. Then second question is something similar to FBO questions that we have discussed many times before. Time period is something which is equal to 2 pi r by v, and r and v are proportional to n and z in the following manner. So if you substitute them over here, you will get the proportionality of time period in terms of n and z. Third question, yeah, it's a difficult question to solve mathematically because all you will end up with are two variables and just one equation. Right? If you try to solve it via the traditional method in which you will write the delta E is equal to 13.6 into Z square into a hydrogen atom में तो मैंने Z square को 1 लिख दिया 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square, so you will be left with two variables and just one equation. So it is better if you remember the energy levels of hydrogen atom. You will be able to quickly figure out and tell which energy gap does this 2.55 correspond to. Then fifth question, yeah, it's a good question. It's a combination of photoelectric effect and de Broglie wavelength, in which it has been mentioned that the language of the question is kind of not easy to grasp, but यहाँ पर आप observe करना. What is happening is that the electron in a hydrogen atom is absorbing photon and escaping out of the atom, right? How much energy it is absorbing? It is said it is absorbing 1.5 times its ionization energy, right? So ionization energy of hydrogen atom, that is the work function, is 13.6 eV. So the energy of photon absorbed will be 1.5 times that it is. Based on this, you can calculate by using the law of conservation of energy, the kinetic energy of the ejected electron, and then you can use it to calculate its de Broglie wavelength. All right, sixth question, straightforward, just apply the formula, get the answer. Seventh question sometimes is a question that students raise a doubt with, saying that the rest mass of photon is 0, which is the correct thing, that the rest mass of photon is 0, but the mass inquired in this question is not the rest mass. It is something which is as per the mass energy equivalence. So either you can use E is equal to mc square, and that energy of photon is hc by lambda, and get the answer of m as hc by lambda, or you can use the de Broglie relationship also. That is absolutely fine, that lambda is equal to h upon momentum, and momentum for a photon will be mass into its speed, and speed of photons, speed of light, is c. So you can get or use either the relationship to get the answer, right? And lambda value, of course, you can then calculate from the knowledge of atomic spectrum and substitute in these equations. All right, then the eighth question, it talks about the transition which this energy gap corresponds to. So similarly, similar to the question that we did some time back, that you got the answer of energy gap as 2.55 eV. Now, if you again try to answer it mathematically, saying that this is 13.6 into 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square, you will be again stuck because of the two variables. So if you remember the energy levels, you can right away tell that this 2.55 eV would correspond to the energy gap between n2 and n4 in hydrogen atom. All right, then the ninth question, it is again something which is simple application of the formula that we remember from the Bose model of atom. 10th question, again, simple photoelectric effect equation, just take care of the units. That is the only catch in the question. If you are solving, solve throughout in the units of SI units or in the units of EV, if you want to use the simplified formulas. Then 11th question, it might sound a little tricky to work with, but once you draw the diagram for these d excitations, you will realize that this energy gap between infinity and n1 is actually a sum of these two, infinity to n2 and then n2 to n1. So you can write the delta E as hc by lambda and then find the relationship between them. All right, 12th question is class example only. We have discussed this in class also, that an electron is at rest and it is accelerated by 100 volts first. So if it is accelerated by 100 volts, its change in kinetic energy, delta Ke, becomes plus 100 volt. Plus 100 by, because it is accelerated. So as a result, if initial kinetic energy was 0, its final kinetic energy will become 100 eV. And based on that, you can get the de Broglie wavelength as lambda is equal to root 150 by kinetic energy in electron volts. Then it is retarded. ठीक है, यहाँ पर एक्सेलरेट हुआ था, यहाँ पर रिटार्ड करा. रिटार्ड करने के क्या होगा, यहाँ पर नेगेटिव साइन के साथ में डेल्टा के ही आएगा. The kinetic energy will decrease. So you found out, you got the initial kinetic energy as 100 and you got that it decreased by 19 eV. So you got the final kinetic energy and then you calculated its de Broglie wavelength. Then again it was retarded. So as a result, the change in kinetic energy was 32 eV. And as a result, you got the final kinetic energy and the final de Broglie wavelength. So you got the values of lambda 1, lambda 2, and lambda 3. You substitute in the expression that you wanted to calculate and get the answer. All right, then 15th question. This is a straightforward question asking about the transition helium plus, which will have the same wavelength as that of the first line in the Balmer series of hydrogen atom. So hydrogen atom की Balmer series का आपने expression लिखा, ठीक है. Now what you do is that you multiply and divide the right hand side by 2 square, right? So what it does is that this 2 square goes ahead and takes the place of z, and the denominator ka 2 square goes ahead and inside and talks about the transition, or talks about the energy levels or orbit numbers between which the transition can happen. So this formula maps that the formula of helium plus having a transition between 4 to 6. All right. 16th question is a straightforward question from or a result from Bose model of atom, that the potential energy is minus 2 times kinetic energy. 17th question is also straightforward, just that you have to convert the kinetic energy from joule to eV to get the answer in angstrom. Then 19th question, this is something that we discussed just some time back, that for a given subshell, the number of orbitals is 2l plus 1. Then 20th question, it is similar to the FBO questions of the Bohr's model that we used to do, the ratio of energy, since energy is proportional to Z square by N square. So we take the two case and take the ratio of the Z square by N square respectively. All right, then 21st question, it is the same transition that we are talking about. So the wavelength, the energy gap is going to be directly proportional to the, Z square value. Okay, so the wavelength will be inversely proportional to the Z square value. Okay. All right, 22nd question, simple question, just reading the transitions for the first line of Balmer series and changing it for from hydrogen to lithium. The only thing that changed is the Z value. So you can take the ratio, these values easily cancel out and you get that the wave number is 9 times that of hydrogen. All right, 23 is something again similar to a class example that we have done before. So you write two equations and solve for them. In the first case, right? In the first case, you have h nu 1 as the energy of photon, and it gives a electron of kinetic energy k1. And in the second case, you have a photon of energy h nu 2, which gives a kinetic energy of electron as k times that of the previous. So using these two equations, you can do some manipulation and get the value of mu naught. Okay. अभी जो manipulation and this is the mathematical part which you can easily decipher once you have the two equations in front of you. All right, then the 24th question, it is based on the formula from Bohr's model of atom that radius is directly proportional to n square, right? So you substitute that over here and you can solve for the value of n. Then in the 25th question, acceleration is, angular acceleration is proportional to v square by r. This is what is being used here. And since v is directly proportional to z by n and r is proportional to n square by z, we use both of them here to get the proportionality of acceleration. 27th is a straightforward formula substitution. 34th is also the same de Broglie wavelength ka formula, just different versions of it. So this time, because mass and the potential through which they are accelerated are same, so what varies is the charge on the particle. Right. So I think this should suffice and help you to solve these questions, which are pretty simple, straightforward. Right. Thank you, guys.